Okay, got a milk vending machine that they've reported was making a funny noise yesterday, and then today stopped making a noise, but it's now not cooling. This whole thing's buzzing. I'm not sure if that's coming through from inside or whether it's actually trying to run. I would say that is not trying to run. So it's probably down to temperature. That compressor's quite hot, but they do run hot anyway. But yeah, that blade doesn't... Yeah, it's seized up, isn't it? So what's that, 10 watt? Probably. Be nice to see it trying to run just to confirm it. Okay, compressor's just kicked in. And that's the effort the condenser fan's making. That is not frame rate, that is the actual speed it's going around. So we want to turn this off, which I think is that, I don't know what else he's got in there, he's got his card machine, so let's just pull that out. Now I can hear beeping. You might have some alarm, no, might be external. Right. So, screw there, screw down the bottom, 3 screws, 4 in the condenser and 2 in the base plate, and that whole thing will come off. Enough cable on it. Okay, got all the screws out. That just unclips. Is it a river cold? River cold. So we've got 7mm screw and then 4 7mm nuts. Might get that off. And then what size is this motor? It's a 16 watt, I think. 1660. 16 watt, should have one of them. I think this has been changed before because that's like a multi-fit motor with the extra. You've got mountings top and bottom that are spaced different. You've got mountings front and back, and if they're designed for that type of fitment they usually come without these holes, so I think that's been changed previously. And then with these you just match, well, you match the wattage, but I always confirm that the stack height is the same, so the thickness of the windings, and then the shaft length is the other thing. That one looks a little bit shorter, but we might get away with it. Sometimes you can just stack another nut on here and that will hold that further out. Otherwise you might have to get one with a shorter shaft. You might just put the blade too near the condenser. Okay, got the motor fitted on there. We've got them screws put in to blank them holes off so it doesn't get any dust inside it. Got our flex joined with some crimps. You can go and trace it back to the terminal box if you want to, but last time I did that something broke in there and I ended up making myself a lot of work when I could have just joined it. So that's what I've done. Okay, just plugged it in, fans fired straight up. Nice and tight. With this Spira Embraco compressor, I bet. It's probably on 134A, not these things. All the ones I've worked on previously have been. The condenser's quite clean. Got another air compressor on here, must be something to do with the vending. I think it's got another air receiver. It's got a tank for distilled water. So it must do some, it might use air to purge the milk lines. I don't get involved so much in the milk vending side of things, just the food side. Okay, right, I'll leave that run for a while so get some heat in it. That condenser's quite cool at the moment. We're just getting some heat in. Hot gas pipe's warm. We've got a tray on the back, which is probably German St. Luke tray for the water, so that could take some of the heat out. Yeah, that's very hot going out. It's not so warm coming back. The dryer's cold at the moment. Suction line's cool, but could be colder. Yeah, I'll just watch it for a bit. Let's just shut off. Yeah, it's not a lot of heat in there at all, but like I say, it's probably sort of 10 degrees in here. It's just in a barn outside with no heating. It's not even run long enough to warm that motor up. Yeah, I think that'll do. Main thing you worry about is if it's run a long time with no condenser fan motor, is it can damage the valves in the compressor because the pressure gets so stupidly high. It bends them or it snaps them off, or they get metal fatigue and then they don't pump. I don't think these have a head gasket as such to blow. They're usually like the ones I've took apart, the gasket is actually the same sheet of metal. They've punched the valve out, so it'll have a square piece of metal with like a little piece in it here with a gap punched out of it, and that little piece there is what bends for the to do the valve function. Another one is a discharge valve, little valve plate, and then one on the top is a suction valve. So with it being cold as well, it's probably just about coped without that fan running. You can see foaming this morning, so night time it probably gets down below freezing in here, or down to 0. So anyway, enough wittering. I think it's survived. I don't know if I said, just when you get these bolts always, nuts are always loose, so you want to do them up even if you're not using them, because what happens is they rattle, and I've had customers complain that there's a noise coming, and it's just these little bolts. Somebody's not nipped the nuts up on the back of them. You can, if you want, take them out. If you undo the 4 bolts that hold the two halves of the motor together, you can take these out and do away with them. So, or if you need to swap them, because there's another set of holes at the front, you can swap them further forward. But they don't do any harm just sat there. It's just sometimes they'll catch on the guard. Or even sometimes I've had to get a hacksaw and cut this piece off with these style guards, if you're not using it, obviously. So they can be guard mounted, or some of them have a pedestal they stand on.